He gets rid of the canopy. No problem. Then he releases the harness pin and is literally sucked out of there by the blasted wind. But no, not him. He has to do it the hard way, because one of his legs gets knackered in the cockpit and he couldn't dislodge it. So he was totally helpless as he fluttered in the breeze like a puppet in a tornado. Not knowing what to do, he finally decided to deploy the chute in a 400-mile-per-hour wind. Hell, an F5 tornado's highest wind speed is only 320 miles per hour, so the cane has it beat. It was a wonder that Bader managed to snag the ripcord. He must have had to time his flippin' hands with the gripping and the ripping of the ripcord to pop the bloody chute. He goes from subsonic speed to parachute pace in 3.2 seconds. Good thing the chute didn't stop him in his tracks, but it must have felt like it. A crash without crashing. He suffered traumatic shock syndrome, a very rare condition, and for the most part, not highly recommended. No wonder he pranged his other leg when he reached terra firma. After that incredible hit, he was probably still out of it when he hit the ground and buckled his other leg. Even that might not have registered immediately. He was woozy and free. Well, at least for the moment. He was so out of it, he didn't know which way to go. Bade would never say he gave up. He would never do that. But on the other hand, he didn't run either. All in all, he was pretty well stumped about the whole effing situation. He was soon captured. So much for being free. That didn't last long. And that invincible stuff, well, it was sort of out of the window too, so to speak. Can you believe it when Goering and Hitler heard that the famous legless ace from Britain had been captured? They actually called him and then wined and dined him. Everybody wanted to see this wonder. At any rate, they were impressed and treated him quite royally, and for a brief shining moment, he was a star once again. Well, that didn't last long, the wining and dining, that is. He was packed off to a prisoner of war camp, but they arranged with the Brits for them to send over a couple of Bader's legs, and indeed they did, in a plane, and parachuted them in. So Bader got his damn legs back. In the camp, Bader is one of the highest-ranking officers, and to say he was a star would be an understatement. He was a legend on both sides of the pond, as well as in the POW camp. Now, one of the primary duties of all prisoners is to try to escape. So the next thing you know, Bader escapes. Well, imagine trying to escape with two knackered legs. Can't run too fast. Can't walk too good either. So it was not too hard to find or capture him. They put him into solitary confinement for a week, which wasn't too bad, or very generous sentence, really. Anyway, the next thing you know, he escapes again. Well, I don't know what the hell Bader was thinking. He can certainly get out of the goddamn compound, but how bloody far can he get? This time they weren't too pleased and locked him up for a month in solitary. Back with the other prisoners, being the humble, confident commander he was, lo and behold, he must have thought he was Houdini or something, 'cause he escapes again. Well, as you can imagine, once again he fails to elude their dragnet. By this time, the Germans are really pissed. They give him 2 months in solitary, and when he's released, they refuse to give his effing legs back. As you might expect, Bader didn't escape anymore. When Bader's Camp Colditz was liberated, April 16th, 1945, he commandeered a jeep, for he was a high-ranking officer, right up there next to Stuffy and Mallory, maybe even higher in some people's eyes. So the poor bloke gave up his wheels, and Bader beetles off to the nearest airfield and jumps into a Hurricane, anyone will do, and takes it up for one last spin before the war was kaput. And spin he did, as well as loops and twirls and immelmans and this way and that way and every which way he could do, all at low altitude. And he was in no friggin' hurry to land. In fact, he bloody well ran out of petrol and had to ditch the goddamn thing and hitch a ride home. Sure enough, he was up on the red carpet once again and promptly forgiven and promoted to wing commander. They also thrust upon him the commander of the Order of the British Empire, no bar, Distinguished Flying Service Order and bar, as well as the Distinguished Flying Cross and bar. As well, he received more bloomin' medals and awards than you can shake a stick at. And he didn't give a cat's meow or wear any of them ever. He truly became humble and wasn't into the hero worship recognition thing. It was a big task to get him to attend any ceremony that might single him out for some award, medal, trophy, or cup. However, he was fond of a cup of scotch, his favorite malt. Oh hell, I would bet my last loonie they also struck a coin in his honor and a stamp. Queen Elizabeth knighted him Sir Douglas Bader in 1976 for his services for the disabled. How sweet it is. Bader had no children, and his wife Thelma died from cancer in 1967. He married Joan Murray on January 3rd, 1973. He retired as wing commander with 22 victories. The invincible legless ace escaped World War II while trying his damnedest not to. So it was on September 5th, 1982, he packed it in and keeled over from a bloody heart attack. Those croaks couldn't do him in, but his heart did, and a mighty brave heart it was. He was just 72. His mortal life was finished, and he passed into immortality. I would like to leave you with the touching words of Winston Churchill, delivered August 20th, 1940. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Well, the man who hastened the war with his prayers so he could fly again did, doing so in a manner that was daring, fearless, courageous, and brave. The story of the legless ace of World War II will be one of the epic yarns about that horrendous era when heroism was commonplace. Bader was on top of the hero heap and survived. And that is one of 43 stories in my book, Stories from the Soul of the Earth, Volume 1. P.S. By the way, he pranged only 3 aircraft unless you count the mid-air collision. Then it was 4. The last one after the POW camp was liberated, it didn't happen. I was only pulling your leg, and Tin Legs would like that. He would really, really, really like that. And that's all, folks. Or until you break a leg, yo.